Hi BookTube and happy Wednesday. Well, since I'm participating in Shorty September, where I'm reading books around 250 pages or less, I thought it would be fun to go through my books and collect together a recommendations list. These aren't my top favorites or anything like that, but these were books that stood out to me when I was looking through my books. And whether you're participating in Shorty September or not, it's, I feel like, never a bad time throughout the year of having like a quick book or like a palate cleanser, or even just a really good book that you can know that it's within your grasp to finish it sooner rather than later. So I wanted to give like a bonus book before I get into my books. And I think I have around 10 or so book recommendations, but I just wanted to give a shout out to the Shakestember event for reading Shakespeare plays, because I feel like all of them fit within that criteria. So this is just one I randomly picked that's on my TBR this month, As You Like It. I've read this book before, but if anyone needs any extra encouragement, because I know Shakespeare can be, a bit daunting. I feel like a lot of us got burnt out in high school. At least I know I felt like I did a bit, because we're forced to read these plays, and it didn't always feel like an enjoyable activity. But outside of school, they can be enjoyable to pick up. You do, because there's many different kinds. So there's the tragedies and the comedies and all of that. But yeah, you just give it a try. And if you have like a Kindle or a tablet, then any of the old English words, you can just like push a button and it'll give you the description. Or often a lot of the physical plays that I've read in the past, they'll have like the definitions and explanations and then on the other side of the page or at the bottom. So there's helpful tools there if you feel daunted by Shakespeare. But even if you don't feel daunted, like it's still like, I feel like a good thing in a way to pick up here and there. Just give it a try, when it's not outside of the high school or college. Anyway, all that to be said, now I'm going to get into my list. I just want to throw the little bonus recommendation out. So going from Shakespeare, we're talking about a poet, Mary Oliver. This is dream work, but any of her poetry collections will suffice. She wrote a lot of like reminiscing on nature, or how to like not improve your life, but like just little quiet moments in your life, and how can you glean what you can from that, and stay positive in a way. I don't know, just something about her poems are very uplifting to me, and they're very easy to read. Like talk about like Shakespeare and sonnets and all his like complicated language. Mary Oliver, I feel like it's the exact opposite, where they're very easily understood. I don't feel lost reading her poems, and because I know sometimes like with a poem that I read, I'm like, what is the meaning of this? So you have to like read it over and over again to like really pull all of the information out from that. And even then, sometimes I'm like, I know I'm missing. I know some things are going over my head, but with her, she's easily readable. So I just wanted to give a shout out to her. And then we have Cy Montgomery, The Hummingbird's Gift, Wonder, Beauty, and Renewal on Wings. She also wrote The Soul of an Octopus, and a lot of Cy Montgomery's works are fit the bill for Shorty September. And a lot of them focus on one creature, whether it's a hummingbird or an octopus or a hawk. There's one that she's done on like backyard animals that she's seen within her yard. And so her books are just delightful. She has a way with words and a way of looking at the world, and a lot of her books have like really pretty illustrations. Like the one I'm thinking of, I can't think of it. It's like Circle of Life, or there's a picture, I can't think of it. There's a cover has like a circle of animals, and that's what I'm thinking of, where it's like different animals she's seen in her backyard that was really beautifully illustrated. But yeah, if you want to get into nature books, she would be an easy way of getting into them. Okay, then we have a fiction book. This is Singing in the Rain at the Picture House by the Sea by Holly Hepburn, and she writes a lot of like novellas that are they're not exactly a series, but it's like a big book broken up into 4 parts, and they're often following different seasons, like fall, winter, spring, and so on. This one is at a British beach, a tourist area, and they're renovating a movie theater. So all of the titles in the series is based on a movie. It's this, Singing in the Rain, and there's like Dirty Dancing, and I can't remember the other two, but yeah, this was a really fun series, a very light series to read, and so I wanted to give that one a mention. And then going to other fiction short stories, I couldn't not, when I was thinking of short stories, I immediately thought of Shirley Jackson, The Lottery, and this is like a bonus, like a 2-in-1, because I highly recommend any of Shirley Jackson's works, and especially The Lottery and her collected stories, short stories. But there's also a graphic novel of this book by Miles Hyman, that is her son, and son or her grandson, I can't remember. But I read this year or last year and really enjoyed it. And I feel like the stark drawings and coloring fit the mood of The Lottery. So if you don't want to, pull out her short story collection, then you could read the adaptation, and that would, both of them would fit for Shorty September. Then we have a children's picture book, The Wall by Eve Bunting. And this is another author where I feel like I could recommend anything by her. There has been not a single book by her that I haven't enjoyed. And this is about the Vietnam Wall. But they're all very like pointed and emotional stories, I feel like. They're not like all light and fluffy. I mean, they can be, but it's like good like teaching moments, I feel like, for kids. Like so you can learn about the different history things and whatnot. Okay, then we have Jane, the Fox and Me by Fanny Britt and Isabella Arsenault. And this is a children's picture book where the young girl is feeling very much like Jane from Jane Eyre, and so it's like a comparison with her life and the fox she meets, and then Jane Eyre. So I had to, when I was thinking of children's picture books, because those easily fit with Shorty September, I thought of like bookish connections, and this is the one that was memorable to me, and I read this probably 10 years ago. Okay, then we have an essay collection, The Solace of Open Spaces by Gretel Ulrich, and again, another author where I feel like all of her books are pretty short. They fit within that criteria, and she writes wonderful, like she's always working with nature, but she's another author that has like a way with words, a way of looking at things. She's not like a poet and expounding on things exactly, but she's like a philosophy of nature, I guess. It would be one way of thinking of it, but she is an author for sure that stood out in my mind. That's very memorable. We have Gary Paulsen, My Life in Dog Years. Gary Paulsen, he wrote many children's books. In fact, I have one here, an old library copy that I found at a little free library, but Hatchet, I feel like, is probably his most famous book, about a boy adventure story. But he also wrote nonfiction books that would fit within Shorty September as well, and this is My Life in Dogs, but he has many, not just one book about dogs. He has multiple, like dog sledding. He has an adult book about dog sledding, and then a children's book about dog sledding, and learning that and all that. So another like nature related book in a way, but I feel like he wasn't afraid to tackle anything. But I really liked the way he thought about dogs, and it was a nice story. Okay, and then we have a couple of physical books here. So we have The Bloody Chamber by Angela Carter. This is a short story collection, and I got the, what is this? The Penguin Classic Deluxe Edition. And so yeah, I just really like this cover. I feel like it fits the mood of Angela Carter. Yeah, so The Bloody Chamber, I feel like is her most famous short story, but all of them are worth a read, and especially if you like the grim fairy tales and things like that. That isn't my jam, but I feel like if I had more knowledge and background on that, I would appreciate this even more. But even as it is, like as a standalone, I greatly enjoyed my experience with that. And then we have, going back to essays, First Person Rural by Noel Perrin. This is Essays of a Sometime Farmer. And there's a whole series of books. There's like 1st through 4th, and then there is a best of edition as well. And here's the author on the back with some cows. But this is all about a sometime Vermont farmer, and just because he's like new to the area, he in this first book here, he's just talking about what he sees in the neighborhood, in the village, and the different making maple syrup, and what can you do with that, and what the neighbors are doing, and helping fix someone's truck, and like little like little moments here and there that I feel like just gives you a feel for a place. And then the last book I have is Willa Cather. It's very boring cover, but this is a Library of America edition, and I got one that didn't have a dust jacket. But she's most famous for O Pioneers. But a lot of her books I feel like would fit for this prompt. And also, like, this book, this collection here has uncollected stories along with several of her short story collections, and a poetry collection as well. I read that for one prompt for BookTube Readathon like a year ago. I had no idea that she wrote poems. So I read that. So I wanted to give that a shout out. So that's my assortment of some Shorty September recommendations. I feel like I could go on and on and on. I could probably give 100 recommendations, but I just wanted to give you like a sampling of a variety of things that you could read. But I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, BookTube.